From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined as always with our super producer, Alexis, codename Doc Holliday Jackson. Most importantly, you are you. You are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. It is the top of the week, which means it's time for some strange news. And we're gonna talk about some crime. We're gonna talk about some surveillance. We're gonna talk about, of course, a couple of heists gone wrong. We are going to ask what rough beast slouches toward the Bethlehem of the dead internet theory. Before we do any of that, fellow conspiracy realist, we are fans of music in all form, and Noel, you found a pretty amazing story.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the conversation around AI, especially as it pertains to corporations using AI, sort of feels like this desperate attempt to, capitalize on the hot new technology or whatever. Not even to mention the dystopian aspects of AI, the job depriving future aspects of AI, or machine learning to be a little more accurate. So it's kind of rare, even when you see one that seems a little innocuous, like, the Beatles released a pretty nothing burger of a song that I've already literally forgotten the name of, where they used AI to clean up the audio on a John Lennon demo, essentially. That was like, I think him playing a tune on the piano, and they used AI as, an interesting tool. It wasn't like to resurrect John Lennon's from the dead, to fully create this thing that never actually happened. It was, using, machine learning as a forensic tool of audio reconstruction. I
do like John Lennon's, by the way.
John Lennon's?
Yeah, I like it.
There could be more than one. If big corporate America has their way, there will be many John Lennons fed by machine learning. But there was a lot made of that story when it came out, because there were a lot of people saying, "Ew, gross, using AI to, dishonor the dead and create this song. Not cool, Beatles." But they a lot of the stories buried the lead, or at the very least, people chose not to look into a little bit deeper beyond the headlines to determine, yes, in fact, that was just a use of that kind of software, that kind of technology as a tool. And, Matt and I work pretty extensively with audio and stuff, and using tools like Isotope RX to, clean up noisy recordings, get rid of things like room tone or the drone of an air conditioning. And while I know a lot of audio plugins are starting to use more machine learning algorithms to figure that kind of stuff out, it's sort of still kind of, the early days for that kind of stuff. And you're really just starting to see some of those tools incorporating this technology. I think we could all agree that's pretty cool. That's a use of that tech that's neat and that actually is of value, and is still requiring engineers to implement the tool and to use it, to create great audio, whether it be in podcasts or in music, with so many people recording records at home. Being able to clean up audio that maybe wasn't recorded in the most optimal situations is a really cool thing.
Well, just really quickly on that, think about all of the amazing tools that exist for video editing and how far that's come, right? Being able to isolate elements in an image, yes, and do all that kind of stuff.
Adaptive, whatever. It can sense the edges. It can sense, you can replace elements to create really cool video effects, not just deep fakes.
Yeah,
right?
Matt's super good at this, by the way, folks.
But what I'm saying is, even before any of this AI integration, video effects and editing and the way you could manipulate a visual image was becoming extremely powerful, all the things you could do, right? But with audio, for a long time, I think it has to do with the nature of the wave and the signal and what you actually get when you record, right? With microphones and things, it's very hard to separate pieces, right? Let's say if there's a sound that occurs at the same time as another sound, for a long time, there was almost no way besides isolating specific frequencies to do anything.
I used to work at a guitar shop. You probably have an idea or can imagine how often people came in and said, hey, you got a machine that'll cut the vocal out of this CD so I can make it into a karaoke track? I kid you not. It happened once every couple of days. But now, to your point, Matt, through machine learning, that is possible. And I couldn't exactly explain to you how it's done, but there are quite a few tools that can do just that. And there's a long-winded way of getting to today's story that I brought, which is about the country singer Randy Travis, who in 2013 suffered a severe stroke that left him unable to speak, which of course means unable to sing. He also had issues with mobility due to that, and has largely faded from the public spotlight since that point. You might know Randy Travis. I think he had hits like as far back as like the early 80s. My girlfriend, who's a bit of a country enthusiast, it's not my particular genre of choice. Wow. I think I like classic country. I like outlaw country, that kind of stuff. More of the schmaltzy kind of radio country stuff like that doesn't really do it for me. But you could argue Randy Travis sort of straddles those genres. And I think one of his famous songs is called like I'll love you forever and ever, amen. As long as old women talk about old men or something like that. I didn't quite nail it, but it's apparently a really, really sweet song. And he was known for having a very kind of non-traditional, very laid-back delivery. And that was sort of his, stock and trade. And so he was very beloved, not necessarily known as like a belter per se, or having like some kind of crazy range, much more of an everyman kind of singer,
But on the other hand, that's worth it for like 12 people. On the other hand...
Is that a Randy Travis reference? Okay, cool, cool.
On the other hand, of course, he is we're talking about this off air, he's kind of a comfortable hangout singer.
That's exactly right.
I mean? Right?
So essentially what's happened here, and again, this is an initiative through this record company, Warner, Warner Brothers, Warner Media, whatever, the record wing of that giant media conglomerate. But I would argue a pretty good one of like, hey, we're going to trot out the use of this AI technology to give Randy Travis his voice back with full cooperation from Randy himself, from his legacy producer of many years, and a fellow country singer named James Dupree, who kind of laid down what you might call the guide vocal for the track. So basically you sing the song, kind of knowing how Randy's cadences might go and the way he might deliver the song. And then by going through forensically scraping, I guess, I think that term's kind of become a little gross too, but you get what I'm saying. His back catalog, I think they took 42 of his isolated vocal tracks, which you might call stems in the parlance of recording. It's just the vocal part solo. No AI required, right? Because you have the original master tapes, which is multi-track. So all of those things can be then split out. So 42 of his vocal isolated recordings were then analyzed, let's say, and overlaid on top of this James Dupree vocal. And apparently the results, it's charting. It's debuted. Where that came from, the song, the new song from Randy Travis. And in this situation where there's agency, I think you can call it by Randy Travis. What do you guys think about that? Let's start with that first of all. If there is co-signed by the artist himself, not Drake dropping an AI rap verse on a diss track from Tupac, of course, who is not with us, and also from Snoop Dogg. Weirdly, we actually didn't talk about that in our Drake segment. That's one of the weirdest parts of that whole rap beef. That is no agency. That is done without the permission of the people living or deceased, their families that have been left behind. And Tupac's estate had a real problem with that and had it taken down. But in this case, there has been all of those things, and Randy himself. So can you really call this a Randy Travis song? This is really kind of a new frontier of media. Like, he didn't actually sing it. This other guy sang it, but then they took his voice and they overlaid it, and he was involved. It's a very interesting question. I don't know what you guys think about that. And then we'll get to some other stuff, some other aspects of the story.
Well, I haven't heard it, guys. Does it sound like it's just him recording in a booth?
I think so. I mean, this kind of very polished country, it's got a certain sheen to it, a lot of there's auto-tune used in big country artists, and auto-tune, again, as a tool, has gotten more and more transparent. where it doesn't sound like auto-tune. There's even this other auto-tune is actually these days, in my experience, used more to sound like auto-tune, where it is very much meant to be an effect, like in trap music or polished pop. It's almost like that robot voice that you know.
T-Pain can actually sing.
T-Pain can sing great.
It's crucial to know that. Check out the Tiny Desk concert. The guy has a voice of an angel.
Picasso could paint landscapes. The guy was classically trained artist. He just chose to paint like a small child. I'm kidding. I love Picasso, but I'm saying people often joke about like how, oh man, anybody could do that, blah, blah, blah. But no, a lot of these artists, they made those choices. That is often the case with auto-tune these days. It's a choice. It's an aesthetic choice. Melodyne is another tool that is much more for correcting mistakes, correcting little warbles, and it's real precise. And I've used it, and it's miraculous. You've probably seen sort of jokey videos online where someone will take a song and retune it and like make it sound completely different. That's all using Melodyne. So in my opinion, it does sound like a real Randy Travis song. Me not being a Randy Travis super fan, I couldn't say for sure, but by all accounts, he loved it. Apparently he, when they played it for him, there's a video of him kind of taking it all in, and you see him sort of go through this range of emotions. And I believe the emotion that he lands on is gratitude. He uses the word grace, in his discussion of this song. And he believes this was a form of a divine second chance.
Sort of like when Frank Sinatra watched Pavarotti sing some of his hits.
That's a good point, Ben. That's my question to you guys, though. It is like that sort of. But it's also different because it is charting as a new song from the country megastar Randy Travis. But it's also that ship of Theseus kind of question, isn't it, guys? Like, is it really him if it's actually sung by someone else and then overlaid with pieces of him? I don't know. I think that's a philosophical question, right? I don't really have the answer.
Well, it's licensing at that point, is it?
It is licensing. That's right. But at the same time, it's a little different than ABBA or Kiss selling their likenesses to the hologram factory, for constant perpetual touring. That's on rails. They've created this show. See, this is kind of on rails too. I don't know, guys. I'd love to hear from conspiracy realists out there. Is this really Randy Travis? Is that even the point? I don't know. His producer, Kyle Lemming, is the one who went through the old recordings. The lyrics are 10 years old. So this is something that I think was meant for him in the first place. I'm not 100% sure, but it does have 3.3 million streams in its very first week, which is pretty neat. I just think this is sort of like a feel-good AI story in the midst of a lot of real scary doom and gloom AI stories. And I think I don't think anybody could argue that this is a pretty interesting use of this tool. In other AI related, I guess, positive news or where AI with agency news, if anyone's familiar with the singer and dancer, pretty amazing artist, FKA Twigs, she actually spoke before a House committee, I believe, on the use of AI. And she has developed an AI deepfake avatar of herself that she, with agency from her and her team, want to be able to have interact with fans. So, is it a genie out of the bottle kind of situation? If it's done correctly, can you put the reins on it? Can it be reined in, I guess, is a better way of putting that. I don't know. I'd like to think so. But I want to end this segment, unless you guys had any other stuff to add.
No, I can't wait to listen to this song.
I also want to give it another listen.
I will point out, again, broken record style, quote me on this, it is fundamentally, philosophically fraudulent to describe any intelligence as artificial.
That's fair. I think that's fair and a good reminder. So this is really quick, and this is really just for lulz, y'all. I think this is a really sweet story. I recently came across a kind of a new, I guess, burgeoning, hilarious sort of joke scene on the internet. We talked about dead internet theory. A lot of that is being perpetuated and really escalated by AI content creation, right? But a lot of that stuff, it's going to get more advanced. Like, it does require prompts from human beings. And I stumbled upon a treasure trove of AI generated country songs. And this one here, it was entirely AI generated. A human had to have prompted it because you're going to hear some real themes here, y'all. Let's just hear it real quick. This is Big Red Cups.
I got beer in my boots, dirt on my truck, corn on my mind, and a gun up my butt. It's a small town. At least there's dirt, at least there's beer and trucks and shirts.
This is not Bo Burnham, by the way.
Guns in butts, red cups, dirty beer.
Folks, I wish you could see Matt's face right now. I wish you could see Noel dancing to this one.
The butts are proud, y'all. Biscuit in my boot. Sorry.
All right. Is that enough to give people
fade
a
out,
taste?
fade out.
Yeah.
Fade,
Okay,
oh, my
okay.
goodness gracious. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, guys, I live out in the country now.
Yeah,
and,
you do. You got boots and mud. Trucks get mud, and there any guns and butts out there?
Of course, it's all true.
Mm-hmm.
No, I feel offended on behalf of everybody that lives within several miles of me.
Now listen, that's why I point out that someone didn't just write AI, make a country song. Someone said make a country song about guns and butts. Okay, that didn't come out of whole cloth, I guarantee, because as we know with these tools, they require prompts. And sometimes these prompts can be very targeted and focused, whether it be for visual stuff or what have you. I thought that was really funny. It made me laugh. I shared it with anyone who would listen. Now I shared it with you.
AI is an O. Henry's monkey paw. Also, coming from parts of rural Appalachia, I think they would dig the song.
I think they would too. It's a banger of a chorus.
Yeah.
And it certainly does when you step away from the jokiness of it. If an AI did compose the melody and hook of that, whether the prompt, they probably, again, I haven't messed with one of these audio AI things like that, but pretty impressive and a little scary in terms of what that means for pop music. And artists like James Blake have really come out saying how the record industries are really pushing this narrative of like 10-second clips for a TikTok, 5-second, 15-second clips from TikTok, which is pushing the way music is consumed much more towards a world where AI-generated stuff would fly.
If I didn't speak English, I would dig the song.
It's a real fist pumper, y'all. And I just think it's going to get weirder from there. So I use that kind of jokey bit just to point out some of the scary parts of this stuff too. You weren't going to get an AI story on stuff they don't want you to know without a little bit of doom sprinkled in there for good measure. So at least we could wrap that doom in, guns and butts. Big red cups.
Dirty trucks.
Dirty trucks.
Dirty butts.
A biscuit in my boot. Corn on my mind. I'm always out there thinking about that corn.
Wow.
I don't know, guys. This is fun and scary and sweet. I'm feeling a lot of emotions. Let's take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then come back with more strange news.
And we've returned. Guys, we got a bit of a mystery that's going to take us down, let's say, a forking path, and we'll explore it as it forks. The first story comes from CBS News, or KCAL News. That's California. It was posted on May 8th, 2024, and it is regarding one woman's experience. The title is Hidden Camera Found Planted Outside of Chino Hills Woman's Home. And I'm just going to read a couple of the details here, and then let's discuss. A woman living in Chino Hills, California, was disturbed to learn that a camera disguised as a rock had been planted outside of her home. The camera was planted in the ground across the street from her house. It's believed that the camera was placed on April 29th, where it sat for several days before being spotted by a neighbor. It was a camera wrapped in clay to make it look like a rock, and it was attached via cable to a very large power bank that was actually larger than the entire, fake rock itself.
So like a long-term operation.
Just sitting there across the street from this house.
Okay.
The neighbor who found it was able to actually download some of the images from it. So it's not as though it was attached to Wi-Fi. Well, maybe it was, but if it was attached to Wi-Fi, it was also capturing images locally to the device. Mm-hmm. So the neighbor downloaded an image from the camera that showed the moment the hand places it there. Somebody was wearing a glove like looks like a gardener or something, places it down there. But then the neighbors, knowing the date and time, looked at their own security cameras and found the moment that somebody rides up on a scooter and just kind of, stops for a moment, goes down, puts something or messes with the ground in some way, right? And then just rides right off. And that's it. That's all they know. So everybody is just trying to figure out why. And the woman obviously is going, oh, okay, what am I dealing with here? We've got several options, guys. What do you think is most likely that this could be?
It's tough to guess without more information.
Okay, no, right. Options. I'll throw the first one out. What if it is, and this one's way out there, what if it is a BTK style person that is casing a human being, watching a human being to see their movements, their patterns, and everything like that, like a serial killer?
A predator scoping, like the torture, kill Dennis Radar guy. Cinematic, possible, but maybe not plausible. Those dudes are kind of rare. Okay, well, what would be more common then? Maybe a burglar or someone who's casing the joint just to steal from it? Yeah, I almost said a good one. That's a more plausible one.
There's also a real commitment to the bit, right? I mean, the
possibility of a stalker. Yeah. Without necessarily serial killer level predation at this point. Matt, in the notes, you said this could also just be someone trying to rob a house or
casing the joint, right?
Or the worst HOA ever.
Yeah, it could be that. What if it's a private investigator that was hired by some outside party that is trying to capture something specific or activity going on?
Oh, well, have you guys been watching this show Sugar on Apple TV?
I haven't seen it.
It's a private investigator type show. It's set in the modern day, but it's kind of got these old school, noir detective-y vibes. But dude is constantly placing hidden cameras on stuff. Like, really? All the time. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Well, you get in situations.
Well, that's a common thing, right? Especially if you're in a cheating spouse situation, a PI will place cameras in places.
It to be completely wireless, it would have to have a big old power supply like that. You couldn't. It would be such a giveaway if you tapped somebody's electricity, or it'd have to have a big old battery, and then you'd probably have to go back in and replace it with a charged one.
And not to victim blame at all in any way, but to understand this story, Matt, it sounds like we need to learn more about the woman in Chino Hills.
Yeah, what did she do?
Is she identified? Like, do we know anything about her background or possible malevolent forces that might have interacted with her?
No, we have no information. This is like a one-off story that, at least to my knowledge, came out last week, and that's all I've seen about it, and I haven't even pursued it further because I kind of don't want to know. That's that lady's business. I don't want to, whatever she's getting into. The reason I'm bringing it to you guys is to kind of go down this pathway of why would someone place a hidden camera across the street from a house? The only other thing I have, thinking about it, would be some kind of law enforcement issue where they're trying to watch either a house or a specific walkway where people are traveling. But usually for law enforcement, you would have to have a human being monitoring that stuff. So you've got that chain of custody thing, right?
Yeah. Right. In a windowless van, right?
Yeah. Usually a human being on hand somewhere, making sure that at all times people know what is happening and time stamping things. So,
and also I hope she's okay.
Oh, absolutely. I was joking about what did she do. No victim blaming here at all. I just want to add, Matt, I think one thing that piques all of our interest about this is the very clever, camouflaging of the camera. It's not something that I've really thought about or seen before. It's like a fake rock looking thing. Somebody put some thought, some time, and some energy into this.
Yeah, but then they just kind of covered it with leaves with a giant metal power thing attached to it.
Okay, that's I retract my compliment.
You're right. It's just it's a weird combination of things, right? Which just makes you go, what is going
Effort
on?
And laziness. Yeah, that's
I guess
really
so.
Funny.
It is possible to be stupidly smart.
Hey, that's true. There you go. So guys, the next story that I wanted to jump to from this, thinking about this story, is a story here from Boston 25 News from a while ago. This is April 26th, but it made me think about this story. There was a group of 4 men who were recently arrested for casing and burglarizing 43 homes. These 4 men carried out 43 successful burglaries and stole more than $4 million worth of, that's an estimate, worth of valuables. It was across 25 towns in Massachusetts from 2018 to 2024.
Oh, that's a long time window.
It is a really long time window. And here is the part that astounded me in reading this story, you guys. Think about all the Ring cameras out there, all of the Simply Safe and blah, 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 all the Arlo cameras. These guys were only caught on camera out of 43 burglaries one time. One time. Isn't that kind of astounding? It makes you wonder how in the heck they could do that. And I learned about something through this article. I didn't know that you could jam Wi-Fi signals in a local area as somebody who is not law enforcement or not, working for an intelligence company. You can just get a device that will jam Wi-Fi signals, essentially making all of these camera systems inert, because if they're not connected to the Wi-Fi, generally they don't function unless they're a specific type of camera. Some of them will function whether they have signal or not, and they store locally and then upload.
Yeah, a really popular one is called the Camera Mamma Jamma.
Camera Mamma Jamma?
I just made that up. It's not true.
Oh, okay.
I thought it'd be cute.
It is now. We just Black Mirrored it. Also, it is, to be fair, folks, it is completely legal to buy those products or to manufacture them on your own.
Well, is that because it's all public air? Like where you're jamming it? Like I don't know. Like who owns the air?
Okay, it's like it's illegal to shoot a person in general, but it is not illegal to buy a gun. It is legal to buy these sorts of things, these contraptions and the components that compose those contraptions, but the way you use them determines the legality or the illegality. And these
like radar detectors, right?
Yeah, it's a good comparison. I don't know why I said comparison. Like I don't speak this language. I'm still learning it. But
well, no, it's one of those things that was intended for law enforcement or what have you. And then it made its way into the public sector. I think it's technically illegal to use them for nefarious purposes, but it's a pretty gray area about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the right color for it. It's a gray area. And these guys did get caught though, right, Matt? Despite only being cited on camera once, like some sort of true crime cryptid, they did get popped.
They did get caught. They are currently charged. So I guess this stuff is, they allegedly did all these things. They haven't gone through the whole process, right? But they did get caught. There was one other thing. This was a sophisticated group of folks doing this because they also never brought cell phones with them when they were, casing a joint or going into a place. They were very careful with their signals intelligence, basically. They almost wouldn't have gotten caught probably just because they really were moving pretty effectively in the shadows. I think unless there was some kind of sting or something like that. But hey, this is a weird one. They got caught. That's good. I don't know how you really protect yourself against that stuff unless, I don't know, you just super upgrade your security systems and think about all the potential holes and then go crazy and paranoid and maybe don't do that.
Spend your life unhappily anxious.
Yeah, let's not do that. That's not a great idea. Take it from me, somebody who has dealt with that and is still dealing with that. All right.
Maybe we should get some coffee.
Hey, there we go. Well, so here's another potential reason for that camera to be out there by way of another story that was in The Guardian on May 11th, titled U.S. Woman Charged with Concealing Bleach in Husband's Coffee Avoids Jail. Okay, so here's one to get all our paranoias up. There was a U.S. Navy serviceman who was stationed outside of the United States. He noticed that the coffee he was drinking in the mornings that he would brew at home started tasting a little off. So he decided to, weirdly enough, to check it for pool chemicals, like chlorine and those kinds of things.
Sure.
So he checked it and turns out, there's bleach in there. So he thought, how did bleach get in my coffee? Checks out the coffee maker. Oh yeah, the water in there tastes real funny. Cleans it out, puts new water in, and then all of a sudden it tastes weird again. So he sets up a hidden camera in his kitchen and he watches his spouse put something into the coffee maker's water holder, right in the back of the coffee maker. And he's like, I wonder what that was. That was really weird. So then he waits until they move back to the United States. By the way, he pretends like he drinks his coffee in the morning from this point on. He doesn't actually drink it. He knows there's something in it, and his wife put something in it. He's not sure what's going on. Yeah. So he waits till they get back to the U.S. Then he sets up another camera in this new kitchen, and he catches her taking bleach, putting it into a container, and then putting that the contents of that container into the coffee maker. And she had to go to jail.
What, but wait, didn't her husband like argue in her favor against long-term jail time? And she got off with some like probation. And then I think they're getting divorced, or they just, but they're still living together with their kid.
Yeah.
What do you tell the kid? Mommy and Daddy love each other very much, but Mommy tried to kill Daddy. Yeah.
Or was it more of a Munchausen's by proxy situation?
It's a good question. This one, we obviously don't know any motive, right, in terms of abuse or anything like that. Right.
But again, I guess what I'm saying is, I guess there are a lot of reasons to want to have cameras set up and to conceal those cameras so the people you're trying to capture don't know they're there. It's just a weird situation.
Can you imagine the thought process?
I like that there's a thematic point here too, Matt, because in general now, one must always assume one is being filmed or recorded in some way. It's just the safest assumption. We're not trying to ruin anybody's day or anything like that.
And I also don't think we're all necessarily proposing that we put round-the-clock hidden cameras in every aspect of our life to make sure no one's trying to poison us. What I was going to ask, though, Matt, was can you guys, or both of you, can you imagine the thought process that would lead to this conclusion and, like, the sleuthing and, like, surely she's not. Wait a minute, maybe she is.
Crap.
Oh, God, she definitely is.
Yeah. Who immediately tests for pool chemicals?
That's a weird one, too. I was going to ask that, too.
The context. who like, have you, like, we've all had, beat me here, Doc, and thank you. We've all had shitty drinks at some point, right? You get something from a fast food place, the soda fountain's off. Who on earth, like, what leads you to this point in your life where you sip coffee, it tastes off, and you say, time to test for the pool chemicals?
There's that bit in the pilot episode of Twin Peaks where the guy goes, there was a fish in the percolator. That's what it made me think. But guys, I don't know if anyone's accidentally tasted a little bleach in their life. I haven't, but I know what it smells like. And we know that there's a lot of connection between taste and smell. I could imagine that he tested for pool chemicals because the coffee tasted a little bleachy.
Well, yeah, and it was a taste that lingered for a long time. And again, like, you just want to know, well, is it just this batch of coffee that's tainted, or is something wrong with my coffee maker? What the heck's going on? Maybe it was in my cup. Yeah.
Oh, the gaslightiness of it all, too, is the whole, like, am I insane? Like, I totally cleaned out the coffee maker and now it's back. At what point does he decide I better get to the bottom of this? This isn't in my head. He had to have wrestled with that for at least a minute,
Is he testing everything for pool chemicals?
Well, he had test strips, right? And his first thought was, oh, crap, something is getting into our water supply, because they were stationed in Germany. Right. And he was like, maybe there's just something I don't know about. So he tested the water faucet and it was clean. So he's like, that's weird. Well, so he tested the water that was sitting there in the percolator, and it was wrong.
Hats off to this guy's deductive skills of reasoning and then, process of elimination. I would say he saved his own life.
Yep.
Also, don't drink bleach, folks.
No. Good God. Please don't do that.
Not even diet bleach. It's not even about the calories. Just don't drink bleach.
But what if it tastes like Midnight Cherry?
Midnight Cherry Bleach Zero?
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite.
It's my favorite too. It's right there. All right. We're going to, think about this stuff, y'all. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back with more strange news.
And we have returned a quick cavalcade of updates, good news for a very specific demographic of people in Indiana. An Indiana judge has ruled that tacos and burritos qualify as sandwiches.
No.
So absurd. Yeah. Yeah, the future
I'm
is
sorry.
now.
Who is this?
A judge in Indiana, a judge by profession. He's not like Judge Reinhold or whatever that actor's name is. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, he ruled as part of a commercial development case that burritos and tacos count as sandwiches.
I think this is out of his league. Stay in your lane, Judge.
This is the most conservative opinion I have heard you have, Noel.
What has this got to do with you?
Look, we've
This
been
isn't a matter of
asking,
legality. It's a matter of common sense.
dude. We've been asking for like an official ruling on this, and this judge gave it to us.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He wrote, the proposed famous taco restaurant falls within the scope of general use approved in the original written commitment. Blah, 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 yada, 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 da, 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 da. The original written commitment does not restrict potential restaurants to only American cuisine style sandwiches. So that's a big win for Big Taco.
I want an appeal. Take it to the Supreme Court, baby.
All right.
I want the justices to weigh in.
All right. We'll text him. Because your voice should be heard. Also, if you own a yacht, bad news. The orcas are out to get you.
That's right.
They just
I saw
knocked
that.
another
They're
one
back.
out of the Strait of Gibraltar. And Team Orca, to be quite honest.
Wasn't it a really big, nice boat too, like a yacht
I
or
think
something?
anything that gets the yacht distinction is on the big and or nice side, but this was a bigger yacht, right? Above average.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I sound like Pacino and Devil's Advocate, but yeah, Team Orca. So also, we were talking about this a little bit off air. This last one before we get to our big piece. Shout out to our friend, Dr. Damian Patrick Williams. I was speaking with him a little bit earlier. There is a flood of fake science hitting academic journals. We talked about this a little bit in our previous episode on the academic journal problems, the controversies, corruption, and conspiracy surrounding that. A lot of these journals now are closing down because there is an industry using ChatGPT and AI to plagiarize papers. They're called paper mills. And they are so, I told myself I wasn't going to curse you guys, but Doc, with great thanks, beat me again. They are so fucking dumb. They're not good. They do this thing where they ran synonyms through. So instead of saying something like, this study is about breast cancer, they say, this study is about bosom peril.
It's like the like kind of bootleg Halloween costumes trying to avoid being sued for intellectual property. Like for Wednesday Addams, it's spooky midweek cutie, stuff like that.
Is that true?
It's very true. It's a thing.
Wow.
No, it's a spirit. Spooky midweek cutie.
Right.
Really quickly though, I mean, just to add, like these types of operations have been around as long as there have been papers, right? With varying degrees of quality. We certainly have heard stories of astute scam artists in schools, doing this, going into business for themselves. And oftentimes they'll sell the same paper like 3 or 4 times. So this is just sort of an escalation of that, right?
Yes. Just as the internet itself is an escalation of the gregarious nature of human beings.
Here you go.
Another couple of examples of these synonym grifts. Fluid dynamics was called gooey stream.
Oh, that's
yeah.
okay.
Nothing weird about that one.
God. Ropey.
We're all
Ropey.
adults.
Stop.
So artificial intelligence was also referred to as counterfeit consciousness. And I think this is a segue to our last story for tonight's program. Did you guys ever do online dating?
Not once.
Oh, yeah. My current relationship that I have been in for these 3+ years at this point was a product of online dating. I got divorced from someone that I did not meet in online dating. And then after that, it just kind of became the way you do it in a bigger city where you maybe don't know as many people. So it made sense for me. And I've had good and bad experiences.
Yeah. Matt and I are maybe a little more old school. We meet people the old fashioned way, getting deported. at customs.
I just get into minor car accidents with people I find attractive.
That is called a meet cute, my friend. Whoa, wait, premeditated?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
No, I'm just joking.
That is not a meet cute.
So obviously, no shade on online dating. It works very well for a lot of people, and it can be a difficult speed bump, right? Like it's already difficult to meet folks, to find the person that you want to spend time or your life with. And what gets me with this is I was always startled by the idea of online dating. And I remember when some of my friend groups started dating online, using the apps of whatever. And they eventually told me it was like a series of auditions. They felt like they were always auditioning, and they felt like they were auditioning for roles they didn't necessarily want, but it was Saturday and they had to do something. And this brings us to our final story, which includes artificial intelligence, again, fraudulent term, as well as online dating. You guys, recently, one of the high-ups, one of the grand poobahs of the dating enterprise Bumble, Whitney Wolf Hurd, said, we're going to take the awkwardness out. We are going to eliminate the small talk, eliminate the dead ends, the red herrings, and so on. We are going to create an AI concierge for each user of Bumble. And that AI concierge will talk to another AI concierge to figure out what the vibe is before the actual people ever meet.
Oh, God.
Amazing, right?
They just want to double their user base by creating AI users.
Yeah.
Oh. So wait a minute. So the person, it's sort of like a stand-in, like a fill-in. Like I guess I don't quite understand the technology.
She's saying the AIs interact, right? That's what you're saying, Ben?
Yeah, that's the idea. So like if
your AI avatar interacts with another person's AI avatar that has built a profile based on your God knows how much data.
So like an AI Ben Bolin and an AI Fran Drescher have a series of amazing conversations. And then later they notify the human Fran and the human Ben. And they're like, hey, you guys both like the nanny. You should hang out.
Yeah. And then the AIs have been hooking up for like a week or two, and they're like, I guess we should tell them.
So it's just
dead internet theory, is it not?
It's doing all your foreplay chat for you? Is that basically the idea here? I'm sorry. I know that's not necessarily the term. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
all the precursor, getting to know you, micro flirt. Isn't that part of the fun of it, though? I guess maybe there's some people that this is for. I don't know. You can usually tell within one or two quick exchanges whether someone gets you or is worth interacting with.
What is your opener line? Will you say it on air? Do you have an opener? Yeah, you.
I couldn't tell you. I don't have a specific one. It's been a long time at this point since I've done it, but I just try to be real. I don't remember exactly. I never had like a go-to one. I'm sure I tried different ones out, but I'm not a line kind of guy. But when you do, there is something to be said though of the fun and sort of spontaneity of engaging with someone who and realizing that you guys have a vibe and that it's cool. Is this meant to
know you?
Just get rid of that entirely? I'm a little confused of who's asking for this.
Oh.
Seems more to benefit the company than the individuals.
Guys, I'm going to go out there on a limb and say I think this is for a very specific audience. There's a quote from one of the articles you shared, Ben. Do you mind if I read one of these?
Please. Yeah, kick it.
It says, there is a world where your dating concierge could go on a date for you with other dating concierge. This is from, what's the person's name? Somebody Wolf? Whitney Wolf.
Whitney, yeah.
Okay. And she says, and then you don't have to talk to 600 people and it'll scan all of the San Francisco area for you and say, these are the 3 people you really ought to meet. Look, I'm putting this out there. I've never used one of these dating apps, but people I've heard about, some friends of mine that have been using them, don't get 600 matches or whatever. Every once in a while, get a match and hope for the best.
Oh, that's me, baby. I'm not going to lie. It's not like raining matches, and it's also dudes in a big way too. In general, they don't get nearly as many matches as women, but women, I've heard it described as like just having hot dogs thrown at your face.
It's an absolute horror show.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I like the point that we're bringing up here because it goes back to the earlier idea in our episode about dead internet theory, the old parable of Fantasia and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. The concept is to automate initial interactions. And like you said, Matt, that quote from Whitney Wolfe Herd stands out because she's estimating that this AI concierge would talk to not 4, not 11, not 42 or 43 or whatever, but 600 different AI representatives, avatars. And then, as you said, Matt, find the 3 schlubs in San Francisco that might vibe with you.
No, the 3 right tech bros who are gonna, make 7 figures or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't like any of the whatever.
Well, I don't like, again, though, I think the question of who is this for is still is largely answered by it's for the data brokers, And then like if somebody thinks this is a good idea, they're like, an individual, take my data. I love this. Have it all. Give me the better chance at finding the right match. But I think unless we see some real insanely believable success stories from this is all smoke and mirrors just to get more juice out of the meat bags that are, internet users. The remaining ones.
I am indeed tempted to agree with you in that regard because you can see the original conversation over on Bloomberg.com, wherein at a tech summit, this executive is speaking about this. And also to your point about data retention or data aggregation, Wolfe Herd says, this will also make you a better person. This AI concierge will help you learn about yourself.
Shut up. But can it give me Riz?
The Rizzler.
That's the premium plan. Yeah.
Oh, man. Some skibbity Riz is what you're trying to get.
And we also, we got to say this too. There are now, of course, multiple other digital things that are normalizing this sort of, I guess you would call it cognitive cybernetic approach, right, to consciousness. And this is perhaps most apparent in things like AI girlfriend apps, which I experimented with one because I had to find out.
Back in college, right?
Yeah, in college, right.
Yeah, I just love that you experimented in college.
So I think this is, first off, they are aggressively mediocre. No offense. I'm sure
totally. I can imagine
the technology will improve at some point. But I do wonder whether humans are ready for this precipice upon which they stand. I'm not necessarily thinking about us listening tonight as adults. I'm thinking about your kids, your kids who grow up. Like, is it that bad? Because a lot of people have imaginary friends growing up. Is this not just an imaginary friend that texts you back and asks you for your credit card number?
I guess we'll all have to try it out, Ben.
I don't think it's a good idea. We're not here to yuck anybody's yum, but it does feel like an extension of what we were talking about previously, with the idea of the internet accelerating past the point of human intervention, right? We ended that episode, spoiler folks, with the idea that Earth could end up being a haunted house in some way, just a series of algorithms repeating and interacting and iterating with each other long after humanity had gone the way of the dodo. However, in this case, what if you found out, let's spin it out. What if you found out years after the fact that you had an AI representative that you were not necessarily aware of that had become in a close relationship, an intimate relationship with an AI representative of a person you have never met? And what if it's gone on for years? The question, would you want to meet that person?
It's too dystopian for me to even wrap my head around, guys.
It reminds me of that Netflix movie from a long time ago called I Am Mother. Did you guys ever see that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody if you haven't seen it. I enjoyed it a lot. It's just the wanting to meet that person, like that question, Ben, I think feels like that to me. Like, would you want to know the truth or really meet the person? The original, maybe.
Oh, before we get out of here, one really important final question. If a burrito is a sandwich, is a wrap also a sandwich? Are all wraps sandwiches?
Nietzsche would say there is no God to stop us.
Oh, jeez, I'm going to lose sleep over this.
Also, shout out to past Ben, who one time left a Post-it note in a freezer that said, pho plus a burrito, pho-rito, tell no one.
I won't.
Yeah, these are gems we drop. We end tonight with a philosophical quandary, similar to how we began, right, Noel? We are asking ourselves what the role of humans will be in the future. We want to hear your thoughts, be you human or bot. We can't wait to interact with you. We don't have I don't think we have an AI-powered interaction yet. You'll have to find us as ourselves online.
Yes, but Ben, in Dallas, there's a restaurant that serves a pho-rito. We got to go.
Oh,
We've got a Farito Gap?
seems like it'd be really wet. Where are you going to put? You dip it in the broth? Maybe you dip it in the broth.
I thought I invented it. All right.
Oh, man.
No, dude, it just looks awesome. It looks
That just means it's a good idea. You
it's
know
an
what I mean?
awesome idea.
All
It's
right,
true.
we're going to
Parallel
Texas.
thinking is real, y'all. Parallel thinking is real. So why don't you let us know about any crazy inventions that you may have come up with out there in conspiracy realist land. You can find us at the handle Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist on Facebook, on X, FKA Twitter, and on YouTube, where we've got video content rolling out every single week. On Instagram and TikTok, where Conspiracy Stuff Show.
We have a phone number. You can call it 1-833-STDWYTK when you call in. You've got 3 minutes. Give yourself a cool nickname and let us know at some point in the message if we can use your message and your voice on the air. If you got more to say, why not instead send us a good old-fashioned email? We are
conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.